Hi Rackheads, Dieter speaking. This video is all about OrangeLine Mother, which is currently the featured module for the very cool patch challenge number 46. A few people out there have asked me to do a video on Mother, so I'll give that a try. It's my first video tutorial, so please don't be picky on sound quality and me stuttering around from time to time or taking some pause to look at my notes, what to do next. Also, this video does not intend to create a great sounding patch, but just focuses on trying to explain the features and of Mother and how to use it. So let's start by having a look at this small example patch. It's just a clock and a sample and hold for random generation. Random CV is going to Mother, from Mother to fans to keep the generated notes in the octave between C4 and B4. The two CC set voltage sources are just used to show the output of Mother and the output of fans to get a little bit orientation and visual feedback of the notes generated. FM operator is used as a voice. I picked that from Omri. And the rest of the patch is just a simple mixer setup and audio and my screen recorder. Okay, so to start, we'll start initializing Mother to have a good defined starting point. So just have a quick listen what happens when we start the clock. What you will hear is just one and the same note playing. The reason for that, stop that again, is easy explained. The Mother doesn't have a scale set up. It's only the root note selected, which is always selected and can also not be deselected. So it will not deliver any other notes than Cs, and fans is limiting all those different Cs to be in the range C4 to B4. So the only note which is coming to FM op is just a C4. Just run again, you hear it's just always just a C4 note which is repeated, and that's, as I said, because we didn't set up a scale yet. So now we start to set up the scale. This can be done like in any other quantizer by just selecting notes which are valid for the scale. When selecting the notes, you see in the display that the distances of the intervals in the scale are displayed, and as soon as I finish up my major scale, Mother recognizes it that the whole tone, half tone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone pattern is a major pattern, and that's why it shows major here. So let's have to listen to that a bit. Okay, so let's stop it. One note to that, with Mother, everything is about mother and child scales. To edit the notes available in the scale, Mother has to be set to the mother scale, which means child scale is 0. You can easily identify whether you are in the mother scale if you look at the root and the child note. If it's the same, you know that you are just currently editing the mother scale. So I can deselect and select the notes. If I switch it to another scale, I cannot select or deselect notes. Okay, that's because the definition of child scales is that they share the same notes as the mother scale. So the mother scale defines the valid notes, and the child scales just define a shift in logical note position inside the scale. Okay, so let's continue with using another way to set up the scale. So if we initialize again, we can also use the right-click menu, Mother Scales, and here you see all the known scales with the interval patterns in the scale. So for example, half tone, whole tone, half tone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone is a major pattern. So if I select major, I'll have my major pattern in here. Okay, so let's have a listen to this one. And at that point we have running Mother just as a plain quantizer. Now we just handle quickly the root setting. With the root setting, you can just transpose the whole scale to another note. So if you, for example, put it to F, you will get an F major scale, or if you put it to D, you will get a D major scale, and so on. And you see, we're still in the mother scale, so the child is changing together with root. So go back to the C mother scales. Okay, now let's have a look at the child knob setting. So when you set the child scale to D, it selects the first child scale of the C major scale, and that's the D Dorian scale. If you set it to E, it will be E Phrygian, F is F Lydian, G Mixolydian, and A is minor, or natural minor to be exact, and the B would be Locrian. Note that the child is quantized to the notes of the mother scale, so if you just put here one half tone, it will still be C, because C sharp is not part of the major scale, so it will be quantized down to C again. If I put it to D, D is a valid note of the mother scale, so the child scale, which has D as a root, is the D Dorian scale. Okay, so maybe you wonder why you don't hear any differences between all those different child scales and the mother scale, and the explanation is quite easy. That's because currently mother is working as a plain quantizer. To have that means that it will just quantize to valid notes of the scale. Since child scales share the same notes than their mother scale, there's in fact no difference in the output notes depending on which child scale is selected. To hear a difference between the C major and a D Dorian or E Phrygian, we have to emphasize so-called signature notes of each scales. To do that, we have to allow mother to change the incoming note to fit to the selected child scale, and by using probability weights. So let's stop that for a moment to explain this aspect of mother. This fade setting has two knobs. The one is called span, and if we turn it, you see that the range in which mother is allowed to change the note from the incoming note is defined by span. If I put it up fully, mother is allowed to change the note 6 semitones up and 6 semitones down, thus making available the whole octave for outgoing notes. The riser mount controls the probability drop-off. If it's placed to 0, fade doesn't have any effect because it's because even the direct neighbor of the incoming node will already have a probability of 0. If I put it to max, nearly every node of the span will get the same probability, and this resulting in a more or less random melody where the input only affects the octave and no longer the pitch, because the pitch will be manipulated quite randomly by Mother. Okay. So to now make the sound more modal, so having a distinction between major and Dorian and Phrygian, we have to once allow Mother to change notes. So I will just go something like that, and let's say a bit of a probability rise. And now we have to set probability settings. So when I want to have a major scale, I want to have a lot of root notes for sure. Take care not to get this red light and the grab display just stay a little bit below 100%. Okay, so we want to have many C's, very few D's. We will have quite some E's. We will nearly have no F's. We will have also a lot of G's. And the other notes for our Mother scales we also put to quite low probability. So if we now listen to that, it sounds like that. And even if it's quite subtle, now we have a more major feeling, because if you look at the output, you will have a lot of C's, E's and G's, and only some notes from the scale which are not emphasized by the weights. So if we now change the child scale to D, for example, then you will recognize that this will sound different. Or if we go to Phrygian, you will now have emphasis on different notes of the scale, sounding more Phrygian. We can do even better, but that we will do that later. So what you see here, I'll stop the clock now, let's go to D, is that all those weight settings are at 50%. 50% for child scales has a special meaning, which is indicating that the weight value is taken from the Mother scale. That means if you look at the C Mother scale, we have emphasized the 1, the 3, and the 5. If we go to D Dorian, we also emphasize the 1 and the 3 and the 5. But that's the positions of the D Dorian scale. That the emphasis is now on D, F, and A. If we go to Phrygian, we have emphasizing the E, the G, and the B. So that means that with 50%, the weight of the note with the same scale position from the Mother scale is inherited to this child scale. Okay, so let's do a little bit better with that. Just to have a look at my notes. Okay. Let's have a look at the harmonics and what we can do to do even more emphasizing these things. But maybe we do that later, because I will get confused with my notes in this case. Okay. Okay, so now let's do it a little bit better. Let's go back here. Let's go to and start with the Dorian. With Dorian, there's an additional signature note, which is the 6th of the Dorian scale. That's why I also, I put here an emphasis for the Dorian scale to the 6th note. And when going to Phrygian, with Phrygian, the 2nd note of the scale is a signature note. With Lydian, the 4th note of the scale is a signature note. And for Mixolydian G, it's the 7th, which is a signature note. And for minor, it's also a 6th. So now we have changed the signature notes for our child scales, and let's listen to that. Now we've got the C major, and now let's switch to Dorian. Or switch to Phrygian. We can support this even more by just using a small bass and control the child with a small rekey set to key 1 volt to octave. Let's connect this one to our input here and use just a divided by 4 clock to get this bass sounding. Okay, so now I can just switch to C again, or D. Use Phrygian, or just A minor. And since we're already doing some little bit sound things, I will just use a small reverb to make it a little bit more nicer. Okay, so now I think I've already explained the most important things of Mother, but a few things I think are missing. I have to finish up here. The first thing is that Mother has a known integrated random generator. So when we disconnect the input CV, it will start to continuously outputting the same node. That's because Mother doesn't know when to generate a new random node, so we have to trigger it. And now Mother uses its own random generator. You can use an external seed for Mother to get the random value, for example, from seeds of change or a sequencer or anything else, to get repeatable random patterns. Okay, so with this setup, it's just a single voice. Mother is also polyphonic, so if we just use a split and take this one in here and take it from the first channel, there's no difference. But if we would go to the second channel, we'll recognize that there's only one output channel, and that's why getting the second channel will just repeat a C note. That's why the Mother calculates the number of auto channels by the maximum of the number of CV in channels and the number of trigger channels. Since we have no CV in and one trigger channel, because it's monophonic, it will just generate one output channel. But we can change that by just using a right-click menu, setting the auto channels to 2. Now it will generate, it will normal this trigger to the 2 channels selected, and it will generate 2 independent random melodies. And you can go up here up to auto channels 16. So you can create up to 16 independent scale-aware melodies from a single Mother instance. Okay, so the last thing we have to talk about is this obscure power output. It's quite useful for some things, because the power output always, it's also polyphonic, will give you the weight of the current note sent to the output. So let's just put the auto channels back to 1 and just use get rid of that. Okay, so we don't need that anymore. So the power output is just outputting the weight. That means that we can use this power output to additional modulate notes by and emphasizing notes which are signature notes, and or do not emphasize notes which are not signature notes. So let's have a look at that using the using it to control velocity. So first, let's look at our scope. You will see that depending on the note selected, there is different values going out here. Yeah? Okay. So we can then use this to, let's have a look here. To, for example, control velocity. So we take the power output here, give it a bit offset, and to an attenuator, put it in here, and take this one in here and this one in here. And now you see that notes which are not signature notes will have a much lower volume than the important notes of the current scale. You can control cutoff frequencies, delays, anything you like with that, and to get even more change and life and more organic melodies out of that. Okay, I think that's enough for today. So if you have any question, just send me a message, and hope you have fun with Mother, and yeah, have a nice time, and